Hi class, I'm going to take you through a brief tutorial on plotting in Excel. So what you're looking at here is the second part of exercise 2.4 from the first tutorial. So here, the reason I'm going through this in more detail is because I started going through this in person last time we met, and we didn't quite finish it up. So I wanted to make this available to everyone, especially because there aren't plotting instructions specifically in this tutorial, but it's good for you to practice. So if you are feeling like doing a little bit extra on this assignment, give it a try. You'll have plenty of other further practice plotting on tutorial 3 in Excel as well. So let's get started. To insert a plot, click somewhere outside of this table that we have already generated. You don't want to click in the table because then Excel will think it knows what you want to do when it's not necessarily what you want it to do. So click on a blank cell and then go up to your ribbon at the top and hit Insert. So once you've found Insert, go ahead and you'll see all these different types of charts. There are recommended charts up at the top, and what we're going to use and what you're most often, I'm sure, going to use is a scatter plot. So let's click on the XY scatter. And because this is the sine, cosine, these are the sine, cosine, tangent, the trig functions, let's just do a smooth line scatter plot. Okay, so you should have a blank plot that has been inserted, and you can make it a little bigger if you would like by dragging on the corner. And so now we have to add data. And there are a few different ways to add data. You can right click on the chart area itself and click on select data. On Macs, if you don't have your trackpad set up with right click function working, you will likely have to hit Control and normal click. Or you can go up in the ribbon at the top below chart design and hit select data. Both work the same. So the really important piece when you are selecting data in Excel is when you see the legend series right here, you want to hit the plus sign. You want to add a series first. If you don't hit that plus sign, your data will not be remembered and no plot will generate. So hit the plus sign. And you see now that it says series 1 in the legend. So what we're going to do is we're going to plot 3 series on the same plot. And so our first series is going to be our sine function. And our x values for each of these series are going to be the same. They're going to be our angles in degrees. So for the x values, we're going to click on this little arrow, meaning that it's going to run this screen in the background and let you select on the active sheet. So click on this little cell arrow and you'll see it says select data source. And so what we're going to do is we're going to click on A2 and we're going to drag down all the way to the bottom, which is A74. And you see here, so what it's doing is it's citing tab 2.4 is what I called this to go with exercise 2.4. And then it's locking in on A2. That's why there's below $1 before column A and $1 before row 2. And the colon is saying it's going all the way up to A74. And so sometimes it's easier if you have a really long data set to just type in where you want your data source instead of copying and dragging in the cell. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my select data source and I'm going to select Y values. So we know that our data is going to go all the way down to 74. So I'm going to click on B2 and drag it a little way down, and I'm just going to edit it so it goes down to B72. 74, sorry. There we go, B74. All right, because you want your X and Y to be the same length. And I'm going to hit OK. So now you see the lovely sine wave. Okay. And the chart defaulted in naming itself sine since we have one series here. So let's go ahead and select more data. We're going to add 2 more series. So now we're going to add our cosine. Okay, and once again, it's going to have the same exact x values as our sine series. So I'm just going to click back on sine and copy and paste. So Command C, and I'm going to Command V into the x values. And then I'm going to do that again for the y values because I know that the cosine data is in column C. So here I'm just going to go ahead and edit and change my A's to C's. Okay, so let's do that one more time now for our tangent series. Okay, and I'm just going to paste again and paste again. And tangent is in column D, so I'm going to change my A for the y values to D. And that is that. So I'm going to hit OK. And so one thing you might notice is because the tangent function has asymptotes, you can't really see the sine and cosines too well. So let's edit this chart to make it look a little better. Okay, so what we're going to do is we can either right-click to format the chart, or we can click the format button up at the top on the ribbon. And so what I am going to do first is I would like to format the y-axis. So I am going to format axis. And I'm going to just put the max and min at, say, -5 and 5. Because we know sine and cosine are only going to go to 1, but at least we'll still be able to see the asymptote. And you can see that the units, the major and minor units, automatically adjusted themselves. So the major units are what are counting up on the y-axis, and the minor units are the increments in between that the numbers are not showing there. And so we could add grid lines showing minor units if we wanted to, but let's not bother. Actually, let me just zoom in a little more. So an effective plot is one that shows your data the clearest. So you can see I'm zoomed in a little more now. And that looks pretty good. So some other things we can do. You can display units. We have no units. We don't want to change to log scale, but we can edit tick marks if we wanted to. And so we could say, oh, let's put the tick marks inside. And let's see, what else can we do? Number. So right here you see it's showing 3 decimal places. We could get rid of that and just say 0. Okay, and then it just counts 1, 2, 3. All right, and now let's see, what else can we do? Going through, you can play with this too. The best thing to do is really just spend some time with this and see what the format options are. So this is line for the axis, so I'm going to change it to black, and I'm going to change the thickness to 1. And I can do that down here as well, black, thickness 1. And I'm going to change that in axes options for down below. I'm going to change it so that, let's see, let's have tick marks that cross. There we go. And let's also change our maximum to 360. And let's change it to count in increments of 30, and we're going to go from 0 to 360. Or we can do 45. So just play with it a little bit. Okay. All right, so now what we can also do is we could change the text. So if we go to home and click on the text here, we can change it to say Times New Roman. The default is to make the text kind of gray. So we can go ahead and change the color, make it black, make it bigger so we can see it. Text 12 maybe. Same here. All right. Other things you can do is you could change the color of your series. So that would be on Format. And we're going to Format. 1 second. Format Data Series. And you can see you can plot the series on primary or secondary axis. You can change the color. So I could say make this red. I'll leave that one, and I can make that one say purple. You can make that one orange. So you can do whatever you want here. Make that turquoise. Okay. And another important thing, you'll notice that our axes labels are missing. So under chart design, you can add chart elements. So axes title. So for the horizontal axis, we want to add a title. And that is going to be our angle in degrees. Okay, and let's change the font, make it darker, change the size. And we can also add under axes, titles, let's add our primary vertical axis. Okay. Actually, we don't even need to put anything there. This is just a numeric. Okay. And then let's add a chart element. We can add legend. See, and by default, it tells you sine, cosine, tangent. And once again, change the font, change the size, change the color. Okay, and so other things you could do, I'm just going to right click here, Format Data Series, is you could add a marker, so you could show different points, you could change the line to dotted, you can say we wanted to make this, can format the plot area, and we can make the border solid black. Oops, go away. Solid black with, say, a thickness of 1. So play around with it a bit. You can edit the grid line color. You could delete the grid lines if you wanted to by clicking on them directly and then just hitting the delete or backspace button. You could do that. All right, so play around with that a bit, and I will see you at the next tutorial.